Hi. Oh my gosh, it's been so long since I made a video. Um, I'm back. I really just wanted to come on here to just encourage some people, share some stuff that I've been going over in my own spare time, and just be an encouragement to whoever may be listening or watching this video. As you know, this is the P.31 Show, so you know whatever I talk about, obviously is going to have some type of edifying message in it, and something obviously biblical and scriptural. So I hope you guys enjoy today's segment, and make sure you leave some comments after and let me know what you thought about it and any questions you may have. So let's just dive on in. The topic today is about saltiness. Yes, I'm sure you heard people talk about, you salty, this or that. But, I got a question for y'all. I want to know, like, you salty or not? Like, you see this salt right here? You see this salt? Ooh, we got salt dripping from it, y'all. But you see this salt? Like, I want to know, are you salty? Are you just a little bit of salty? Are you a whole lot of salty? Do you not have any salt at all? Like, are you salty or not? Like, by the time we get through with this lesson, you'll know what I'm talking about. So let's dive in. As I was spending time just reading my word and reading the Bible, I saw a bunch of profound things and just things I was just like, oh, I never thought about it like that. Or I did thought about it, but it was just good to think about it again at that moment. And so I just wanted to share some of those things with you guys. And it's in Luke chapter 14. We gonna dive into this thing. Luke chapter 14, verse 25 through 35. But I'm gonna read verse 26 right now. So if you got your Bible, if not, you can just read with me, listen to me. All right, so Luke chapter 14, verse 26, it says, if you want to be my disciple, you must hate everyone else by comparison. So first of all, who's talking? Jesus is talking. He's saying, if you want to be my disciple, you must hate everyone else by comparison. Your father, your mother, your wife and children, brothers and sisters, yes, even your own life. All right, so you telling me, God, I gotta hate my brother, my mother, my sister, my mama, the one that brought me into this earth, my sister them, my brother them, my father. You telling me I gotta hate these people? Yes, that's what God says. But and then at the end he says, even my own life. So it says, if you don't, you cannot. He says, if you don't, then you cannot be my disciple. So at the end of that verse, it says, if you don't, you cannot be my disciple. So that's not essentially saying that God wants you to hate everybody. He wants you to hate your family. He wants you to hate your life. No, what God is saying is, when you decide to be a disciple and a follower of Christ, like, yeah, you can love your family, you can love your mom, you can love your sister, you can love them dearly, but at the end of the day, God has to be at the top. Like, you gotta love God more than your mama, then your sister, then your brother, then your cousin, then your auntie, then your own life, whatever life you thought that you were gonna have, that you set aside for yourself. You gotta put all that aside and realize that once I decided, I count the cost and I decided that I'm gonna follow Christ, that he has to be above that. And then the next verse it says, and if you do not carry your own cross and follow me, you cannot be my disciple. So you might have heard a lot the term carry your cross, bear your cross. What does that actually mean, to pick up your cross? Like, that sounds like a cute little phrase, but what does that mean? I gotta carry the cross just like how Jesus was carrying the cross? No. There's a song, Andy Mineo. He's a rapper. He's a part of the same record label that Lecrae is a part of. And he says in his song, he says, pick up your cross, and it says, don't wear one on your chain if you don't got one on your back. And in today's society, that's a fashion statement. You wear a little cross. Especially when God says to carry your cross and follow him, like, he's basically like telling us to just put our cares aside, throw them down, and really just go hard for him. Take this thing head on. Like, make sure that you're living your life for him, that it's no longer about you. You're no longer living your life for yourself, but you're living it for him. When you decide to be a follower for him, when you decide to put everything else, treat everything else as it's nothing, and realize that if you don't have God, then nothing else matters. Like when you carry your cross, it's you and God. Like your life is now his, and that's a decision that you have to come to terms with and you have to make, and it is a serious decision. And that's why I felt like this message was really important. And if you read on, God talks about counting the cost. You might have heard that, a churchy phrase, count the cost. It says, verse 28, but don't begin until you count the cost. For who would begin construction of a building without first calculating the cost to see if there's enough money to finish it? So basically what that is saying is, like, if you're going to make a building, right? Like, you don't just go out there and just like, hey, yo, we about to build. We about to let's just start. No. You think about, okay, how much is going to cost to get this material? How much is going to cost to do the carpenters and, builders, they may know what I'm talking about. My dad's in that field, so I know he has to know how much this will cost him, how much he needs to go out and buy it, and then how much it would, he gonna get paid and all that. He got to know all the costs and all the details. You just can't start building and you halfway through, you build half of the house and now you don't got no money to build the rest. So you got to count the cost. So the same thing with Christ, with coming to be a true disciple of Christ, you have to count the cost. You have to know that, yeah, you're going to miss out on a few things. You have to know that there's things that, things are going to be different now because you're no longer living for yourself. So in the same way, before you build, you should sit down and think about, okay, how's it going to cost? Is it going to be worth it? That's the same thing when you come to Christ and you want to be a disciple. You have to think about, okay, dang, is it really going to be worth it? Like, will you have enough to blah, 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 whatever, when you have enough to build it, whatever the situation is compared to a building. But you have to sit down and say, do I really want to follow Christ? Do I really want to be a disciple? Because it's not just something that you say and then you don't really follow through it. Like, to be a true disciple, I mean, you have to be willing to throw away your old ways. You got to be willing to just truly give yourself to God and allow him to do whatever he wants through you and use you in amazing ways. And in verse 34 and 35, here comes the whole salt thing. Let me slide the salt back in it. Let me slide. Y'all see the salt? This is where it comes in. So I was reading. It says, salt is good for seasoning. Okay. Salt is good for seasoning, but it loses its flavor. But if it loses its flavor, how do you make it salty again? That's a good question. And then it says, flavorless salt is good, neither for the soil, nor for the manure pile. Everyone knows what manure is, right? Yeah. It is thrown away. Anyone with ears to hear should listen and understand. So basically, salt, salt is good. Salt, we can compare the salt for seasoning. We can compare that to our hunger, our desire, our passion that we have for Christ. And it's saying that if your salt is flavorless, if you're not that salty, your salt is flavorless. Flavorless salt is no good. It has to be thrown away. It's not good for the soil. It can't grow anything. It's not good for the manure pile. Like, it's not good for, that's basically boo-boo. It's not even good for that. So no matter what it is, flavorless salt has no use. It has to be thrown away because nobody wants it. So in the same way, if we're not counting the cost, if we're not carrying our cross, if we're not truly being a true disciple for Christ, then and we're claiming to be a follower of Christ, but we have no salt, we have no fire, we're not there's no fruit in our lives. We're not trying to really follow God. We're just trying to put the name tag, oh, that I'm a believer. Yes, I serve God. We're just trying to put that name tag on us, and it's not real. Like, we know when we being real. I mean, I knew it was a time in my life where I wasn't being real. we got to be real with ourselves. And that's a serious question that we have to ask ourselves, because it's not a joke. We have to really ask ourselves, and we're not fooling anyone. We're not fooling, we may be fooling some people, but we're not fooling the one that really matters, which is God. So when I ask you, are you salty? Like, in a, in essence, I'm basically asking, are you carrying your cross? Are you putting God first in your life, and not just putting that on your IG bio or on your Facebook bio, but are you really doing it? Are you involving Him in your everyday matters? Are you truly committed and devoted to Him? Do you realize that it's no longer about you anymore once you decide to serve Him? And with all that being said, I think it's important to ask, like, is your eyes completely fixed on God? Like, is God enough for you? Or do you feel like, nah, I just don't want to miss out on all the world has for me, and you really just put God on the back burner, you really don't serve Him? So to make it practical, I would say that it's important to be real with yourself, and ask God, like, God, am I salty? Am I really in this thing for you? And God will reveal to you. And I think that's the first step, just really asking Him. And if you're not there and you have a desire to get there, and you have a desire to want to be a follower of Christ and to really get to know Him, then I'm sure God will work. He will. He will come through. He knows. He knows our hearts. He knows our desires. But you got to be real with yourself. And another practical thing, I would say, get around people that is going to hold you accountable. So if you are a follower of Christ, but you notice that you're not really salty in most areas of your life, you really don't give God full control, whether it be your finances, whether it be your love life, whether it be your job. Like, you just do what you want. You don't ask God. God, how would you be glorified in this situation? Or God, how you want me to act if somebody just cussed me out or did something to me, and you just do what you do. You just don't really include God in everyday matters, whether it be small or big. Then ask God to show you those things. And if you know those things, step up, step up and we gotta do what we gotta do. I would say do salt checks daily. Same thing with that. Like, figure out what are you struggling in, what area you're not really giving God full control in, and let Him just take control and do what He do and do His thing. So I hope that this message has encouraged some of us to be more salty. And myself, we all need some salt, we all need to be the salt of the earth, and we need more God, man. And when we come to realize that, I think that it's just a beautiful thing. I really hope that you guys were encouraged. I really hope that you guys continue to go hard for God, man. Like, just, man, be on you and your Jesus thing, of course. I mean, don't just be like you and Jesus, and then you don't have nobody else around you. You need other people too to encourage, and we need to encourage others, but really form that intimate, close relationship with God, and you'll desire to be salty. You'll desire to love Him and serve Him and put Him first in all that you do. So I encourage you guys, if you have any questions, if you have any comments, feel free to leave it below, and hope you guys are blessed by this video. Hope it wasn't too long. Hope you guys enjoy it. Mwah.